My name is Krom, and the piece that I had in Blind Spot is called Verge. The main question is whether we can think of visual language as something that can be interactive. So a way for the designer of the system who's creating an interactive piece to speak or converse with the player in an interactive story world through the visual language. And we typically think of visual language in the way that I'm using it is a cinematic context. So we don't typically think of that as being something that people converse through. So that's the crux of my piece, is thinking about how to do that. I actually came up first with a sort of conceptual framework to guide the way that I would approach the work. I'm using a very well-known game engine called Unity, and did some of the artwork in Maya as well, the 3D models. So the challenge was in taking the conceptual framework, which focuses very much on the frame, on that as a territory in and of itself, and approaching, the tools, the library in Unity from that perspective. We know that language is something that we communicate with, and it takes at least two to sort of converse through that. But when it comes to visual language, in general, that feels more of a one-way communication. So from whomever created the visuals and composed the shot or the composition of the media in some form, we don't think of that as being two-way. So I like that hopefully what my piece did was help people change their perspective about how to consider visual language as something that really can be truly communicated through, as opposed to going, one directional in the communication. I think that there are a lot of steps to realizing that kind of communication, and this was one step in that direction, to give the visitor the opportunity to use and communicate through a language that is typically given only to the director and the cinematographer, and to think of that as a means of communication. So yeah, that I believe that there's a huge area to be explored there, and so this is just one kind of step, hopefully in that direction.